Okay, it is just turned 6 p.m., 1800 Mountain Time. We can go ahead and get the Elmer session started. Good evening and welcome. My name is Daron. My call sign is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. This is not a net. We won't be taking any check-ins, and you don't even need to be a ham radio operator to participate. Feel free to drop any questions into the chat if you'd like. We're taking things by audio as well. If you don't mind, though, try to mute your microphone while you're not speaking, just so we don't hear your background noise. On the Google Meets presentation, you can select the microphone here to mute it. I'm also presenting my screen, and so you can go to the three dots at the bottom right, and if you select Change Layout and Spotlight, you should eventually see my screen in here. With that, I'll throw it out to everyone out here. Anyone have any? This is the Elmers session, Denver Radio Club Elmers session. It's going to be about 45 minutes to an hour, and then we have our presentation by Robert White at 7 p.m. So this is just a general Q&A about ham radio, electronics, show and tell. If you have any questions about anything you're working on, any projects you're working on, anything, let us know, please. Excellent, absolutely. Yeah, thank you all for being here, and thank you for coming back into the hobby after a few years of being out. And yeah, please don't hesitate to ask any question. No question is a stupid question. This is a hobby about engineering, so there's a lot going on. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for being back. Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of DIY antenna building going on here. So yeah, if you have any questions on that, we got a lot of people who've done that. Yeah, we had one a while back. I'm not sure if it ever got recorded. It was in person. Let me see if I can find that. Good question, though. Yeah, anybody else on here do any SOTA work or have any QRP? Looks like somebody put something maybe in the chat here. Um, They do. They certainly do. So I know BridgeCom. I mean, are we talking about their programming software or the a specific HT, Tom? Gotcha. Yeah, the Anytone does come with its own programming software, so that is an option to use. But I'm not imagining the Bridgecom software itself. It's probably a little bit more refined and a little bit more easy to use. And the software that comes with it is in it's written by Chinese developers, so it works pretty much for the most part as long as you kind of know all the different parts and pieces. But some of the descriptions and some of the wording on the radio itself versus their software is a little bit different. So I'd imagine probably Bridgecom has made it a little bit more simple. I know we've spoken about them in the past. Any paid for software, I'm sure, is going to be worth it. Mm. Can't speak. Yeah, go ahead, Larry. Yeah, please. Perfect. Yeah, thanks for the follow up there, Larry. Yeah, yeah, I haven't really bought anything from that specific site, but I know other people have, and they're pretty reputable. And yeah, the Anytone has been around for a while, and yeah, the code plugs is just yeah, you really just have to know how a code plug works. But luckily, ARM at least has a starting point, and it looks like a video here of that they put out recently about DMR too, so that might be worth checking out. So, good question. Any other follow up on that? That's interesting. Okay. Good question. I don't use D-Star that much myself. I know we've definitely spoken about it in the past and interlinking it with DMR with different things. Um, anyone have any information on D-Star while I try to bring up some information here? Just looking at repeaterbook.com here for the for local D-Star repeaters. Let's see here. Yes, that does sound familiar. Actually, I think we have spoken about that in the past. Gotcha. Yeah, it looks like there might be some videos on it. I know D-Star itself in its own, you have to do a little bit of research on how it works. Yeah, I don't have much experience with it and how it's interlinked and how it all works. So unfortunately, I don't have too much info on that. But anyone else on D-Star, local D-Star operations, or just good information on how to set up D-Star in general? Yeah, I'm just looking at a video here. It looks like there's definitely some YouTube videos of demonstrations and kind of walkthrough of it. Um, yeah, unfortunately, I just don't know. I don't have too much more on that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so there's on dstarinfo.com, there's a FAQ, and it has some, I'd imagine, some pretty good information there about first steps. It looks like unboxing and finding repeaters. So yeah, you would have to do in the repeater listings. You could find which repeaters are around here and which ones you should be able to hit, and then program that in, and then following their um, steps here. Hopefully, you should be able to get good online there. Sounds good. Had a question here related by Andrew KF0COC. Um, they're asking, is D-Star the same thing as System Fusion and Brandmeister DMR? They're all very, very similar. I'd imagine have very similar feature sets. They just use the same bands, but have narrow transmissions, and then using different radios and different things like that to connect into different repeaters and things like that. So I don't have too much information, but we have talked about them in the past, and they can all kind of be interlinked and put into like a VoIP style system on the internet and whatnot. But good question. Anyone else on the difference between D-Star, System Fusion, DMR? Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Exactly. Yep. Basically, just kind of different standards. You can kind of think of it like HD radio for your cars. It is a that is a copyrighted and patented product. But in the automotive world, we only have one option. But in the ham radio world, we have multiple. So that's you can kind of think of it in different standards and different options. Sure. Okay. Thank you for the follow up on that, Larry. Yeah. Uh, Well, again, it's not encrypted. It's just using different functionality, different modulations to to decode, but it's not encrypted. Uh, yes, I was just bringing up the Anytone programming, the software that comes with it here, and yeah, it's this is just an older version, and they update it pretty quickly. And this is pretty blank, but yeah, you can have the memory in digital radios is amazing. I mean, this goes down to 4,000. So compare that to your analog radio. But then you have zones and um, let's see, talk groups, and so this is all DMR stuff, and you kind of just have to know how all of this kind of goes together. So yeah, just this is the programming software that comes with it. Just wanted to kind of bring that up here. Yeah, absolutely. All right, great conversation so far this evening, everyone. Anyone have any comments, questions on anything we've spoken about so far? Anything else you'd like to bring up? Great point there. Yeah, interoperability is pretty great with these supporting cross modes. So that's a good way. You're not really shoehorned into one standard, even if you have a certain manufacturer model or whatever. You absolutely can cross mode into certain things. So good point there. Absolutely. Question in here asking about. Can we connect through a hotspot to use a DMR to join a Fusion Wires X? That is something I haven't looked into, a DMR to Wires X. I don't know if on my Pi-Star I can do that. I'm not sure if there is that functionality on mine here. Bring this back up. See the open spot. Wires X. Yeah. To the internet. Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, it basically just connects to the internet, and then through RF, it connects to your radio, and then depending on the oops, somebody is doubling here. Let me see. Go ahead, please. Exactly. Yep. Depending on the type of the brand, how it works, you have to go into the hotspot and set up. I don't really have too many on here, but on like I have Brandmeister set up on mine, and you can pick like the master, and then there's some other things you can select for Brandmeister specific. But if I were to enable Yaesu System Fusion or anything else, there would be different options for how it actually connects. It would be through its kind of standard way of connecting. It would translate through that. Hopefully that. Yes. Yes. Thankful or because things are online and DMR has done a really cool job of exposing their data and their network. I don't know why this isn't refreshing here, but this is slow. You could see all the hotspots that are connected, and yep, and you can see like the most popular talk groups and things like that. So brandmeister.network is a really good place to go and kind of snoop or just kind of view the traffic and see what's going on. And you can oftentimes listen in just through this website here. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great point. I mean, a hotspot not only allows cross functionality, but it frees up the repeater, and you can basically just connect to the DMR without having to use the repeater itself. And if you're not within the reach of a DMR repeater, this is how you can connect. And ColoradoDigital.net does a really good job of interconnecting all of the different talk groups and technologies and things like that. Somebody had asked what is the most widely used protocol here in Colorado, DMR Fusion or Wires X. I would probably venture to guess DMR currently at the moment is probably most widely used. Anyone else on that in the Colorado area? Anyone have any other comments on that? Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, I forgot how large their network is. Yeah, and it is not necessarily on the public DMR network, but it goes to show you, people are putting in infrastructure for it for sure. All right. Anyone else on the topic of digital radio? Anything else?
So is Bandmeister and DMR same, similar, dissimilar? If you have to have a proprietary radio for either one of those or both, or?
Well, DMR and Brandmeister are the same.
Okay.
Well, DMR, let me back up on that. Brandmeister uses DMR, and the other one is called DMARC, which is the German Motorola Amateur Radio Club, DMARC. And they're the ones that started DMR as an amateur radio. That's the history of it. You have to have a DMARC ID to use either of the systems. Both systems use the same ID, so you can get it from Brandmeister, you can get it from DMARC. It doesn't matter which, but they coordinate to make sure that there's no duplicates. But you have to have an ID. That ID has to be programmed into your radio. Some people were able to get multiple IDs before all of a sudden IDs started running out. They would have one ID for their handheld, one ID for their mobile. Now you only get one ID, and so you can only use one or the other at the same time. The way DMR works is each radio has its own unique ID, kind of like a computer has its own unique IP address, similar type thing, because it is going over an IP type protocol, and it goes over the internet as well. So DMR means digital mobile radio, and Brandmeister works in the DMR world, but it has its own system, and DMARC has its own system. The Rocky Mountain ham system is mostly the DMARC, the German Motorola Amateur Radio Club, whereas and they also have some Brandmeister repeaters, and the DRC has a Brandmeister repeater, and there's a couple more in the area that are Brandmeister as well. And what Brandmeister is more of an open system, whereas the DMARC is more of a closed system, meaning with Brandmeister, you have more flexibility in what you want to connect to, what you want to do with a hotspot, etc. Whereas with the DMARC, it's all set up and people normally aren't allowed to make changes to the system. That can only be done by the system admins.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the further information on that.
Question?
Go ahead, please.
So this keeps making me think of more questions around the digital options. So I just, while we were talking, tried to connect to the Fusion repeater with Wires X, and sure enough, it was like the easiest thing I've ever done. It just said connected, and then I disconnected. But I'm wondering, are there any Wires X rooms that are specific to Denver Radio Club that I could just try to join, or rooms that folks would recommend that have a lot of activity, just to see if I'm able to join a room and hear things? Just curious.
Yeah, we do have one here, room 40931, and we have our own repeater too, if you wanted to connect to that as well.
That is the one I connected to, and I'm embarrassed to say I did not notice that there was a room there at the bottom.
Gotcha. No worries. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Comment?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the room's called America Link. That usually has somewhere between 30 and 60 people in it. So if you want to jump in to C4FM and try to connect to that room, that'd be probably where I'd start.
Question?
Yeah.
So thank you for that. It makes sense, I think. Just so I can understand, when I connect to that repeater and I have options to put in different rooms, I could connect to any room theoretically that's tied to WiresX or Fusion, or are there only certain ones from certain repeaters?
Any room, right? So you're taking down that repeater and you're putting it and connecting it to that room. So everyone's going to hear your chat who's listening in on that repeater. And that's why it's important to disconnect when you're done.
I'm glad I disconnected, and wow, I wish I had understood that. That's really, I don't know how to feel about that, because I don't want to take up so much time on the repeater. So is there etiquette around that or anything you guys would recommend?
Well, that's sort of the whole point about these hotspots, right? So you can run a hotspot in your house, dial back the power on your either HT or home station, whatever. And instead of going onto the repeater, you're going onto your hotspot and you're not hogging up the repeater for everybody else. But it is a capability that when you're on the repeater, if you needed to, you could basically get everybody in the listening area who's listening to that repeater into that room to listen to your conversation.
One more follow-up question, please.
Of course, go ahead.
So when I connected and disconnected, apologies if I caused any issues for anyone, I did it twice. In those scenarios, was it changing the mode and impacting people if I did not transmit just by connecting and disconnecting?
I'll take the ball since I was talking last, but
yeah.
When you connect to it, all you're saying is you're taking control of where that internet connection is going to go, right? So when you pick the room, the repeater is going to go. So the question is if you connected to the repeater but you didn't then dial in a room, I don't believe you've done anything, which is why the repeater will time you out if you haven't been active on it. So I think it'll auto disconnect you if you're not active.
Got it. I did not pick a room. I connected. I verified it said connected. I then pretty much immediately went and disconnected, and I got the confirmation that it disconnected. So hopefully I didn't interfere with anybody. That is excellent information, though, because that was not clear to me, and it should have been, considering I guess that part can't be shared. I'll be looking at getting a hotspot and not tying up the repeater. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. And then one of the other pages that Doran had up talked about the fact that C4FM, the repeater, when it's running C4FM, will actually handle both protocols, so regular analog and digital at the same time. So it will actually do the digital to analog conversion back and forth. So it's possible for someone who's transmitting digital on the repeater to communicate with analog stations also on the repeater.
Got it. That helps a lot with the AMS mode that I've seen on the radio that can switch it back and forth, I guess. So thank you for all the info.
You bet. Take care.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I haven't done much with WiresX myself, so yeah, this is all kind of brand new to me. Very cool. All right, anyone else on that, or any other questions, comments, anything else you'd like to bring up? Let us know.
Hey, Jerome, this is Jerry.
Jerry?
Good evening, everybody. Our repeater, our Yaesu repeater is set up for digital only. So it will not, you can't go into it analog and convert. We've purposely set it so that it's digital only. The idea being that we have so many other repeaters that it can get a little confusing. So the decision was made quite a while back just to make it digital only, just for clarification in case I think it was Andrew was talking. In case you try it, it doesn't work. It's not supposed to on ours.
All right, thanks, Jerry, for the clarification there. That yeah, we have that blocked. Very cool. All right. Again, this is the Denver Radio Club Elmer session, general Q&A. No check-ins needed. Feel free to jump into the chat or to the audio. If you have any questions about ham radio, electronics, anything, let us know. Question in here about DMR networks, still on that. Asking about the TGIF network. Let me bring that up here. I have heard of the TGIF network, and I've connected to it once or twice. And there's definitely some good things about it and some bad things about it, technically. But I'd imagine DMR Brandmeister is probably still dominant. Yeah, see, they have 1,200 hotspots here. It looks like in 29 repeaters versus I think that was the 14,000 on Brandmeister for hotspots and quite a few more repeaters. So yeah, it looks like Brandmeister is definitely still dominant. All right. Anything else? Any other questions, comments, anything else? Otherwise, I can bring up a few things here. Okay. I don't have too much. I always like trolling this website here, hackaday.com. Always really good, just electronics-related things, and just blog here, post about how to speak Japanese, and oh, they're putting kanji characters onto an oscilloscope, so that's pretty neat. Yeah, using old oscilloscopes, and people can convert VGA signals into X and Y axis analog output, and so they can draw images on these older oscilloscopes. Pretty cool. Let's see, over on rtl-sdr.com, good hobby-related blog here. If somebody's using a software-defined radio to listen into as a ceiling fan, the signals that are used to control it, remote, and then he's using a Raspberry Pi as a low-power transceiver to repeat the signals. So he can he probably has like a website set up now that he can go to control his ceiling fan. So pretty neat things you could do here with software-defined radio. Story of the Fengyun 2G. It is a geostationary weather satellite covering parts of Europe, Africa, Middle East, EMA, Asia, Russia, Australia, and somebody's using a Wi-Fi grid dish antenna to receive it, full disk image of the Earth. So pretty neat what you can do as well. Yeah.
Comment.
Please.
Yeah, Daron. Just been taking some notes here. AA0JK.
Yeah.
Considering back to the comments about antennas for the summits on the air, the FT70 DR Yaesu. I know he was talking about doing a homebrew, but if you're up there packing and hiking and whatnot, I know that the Diamond HT RH707 is a good performer and probably would be a good antenna there to have on his handheld radio. So just a recommendation. Great little antenna there made by Diamond. Also, they've got an appropriate cable there for his homebrew. It's a SMA cable antenna there that Diamond has, probably good for his homebrew antenna. Also, let's see, also noticed someone had a radio teletype there in the background of their shack. just wanted to make a comment there. We've also got a 28 ASR old teletype here in the shack. And one last comment here. I was just wondering if Linda had been able to make contact with Lorraine as far as possibly answering some of the questions that she had. I know Lorraine offered her services and probably be an excellent way to go, YL to YL. And I don't know if Linda is a member of the radio club or not, but I know Lorraine is, and her information would be on the roster there. And if you don't have that roster, you can contact Bob KC0CZ and he'll send a copy of it to you. But I would highly recommend getting with Lorraine there, and hopefully she can answer any questions that Linda may have. If not, please come back to us there on one of the nets here, and we'll see if we can't do a follow-up. But anyhow, that's it from AA0JK. Back to net.
Comment?
I have a comment.
Sure.
You met Lanier, Fred, not Lorraine. Lanier.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to read from my notes here, and I can't read my own scribbles. She's in your part of town over there anyway, isn't she?
Actually, Lanier lives over east in the Cherry Creek high school area.
Oh, okie dokie. That kind of give Linda some kind of an idea of the location there. Thank you.
Comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is Harold W6IWI with the Model 15 teletype and 14 reperf in the background. And it's currently on auto start using standard tones on 7.086 megahertz. And then during the day, it's on 14.086. And in fact, it just started up. We'll see what happens here. But anyway, I've got a bunch of stuff on teletype and everything else at w6iwi.org.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I've always been concerned with being able to find a source for paper and for the strips there for the readers.
Yes, I have links to supplies on that. I did just get a box of paper, and I was looking for fanfold paper, and somebody on the Green Keys mailing list sent me a box. It's 4-part carbon, so I get a lot of copies of my QSOs.
Okay, great. Probably going to be touching bases with you here. Sometimes there's a tape reader. Get in touch with you there sometime and compare some notes. We acquired our teletype while we were over in the Marianas operating Mars, a Mars operator here. And they were kind enough to ship it home for me. So we've got it here along with the rest of our gear in the shack. But very good.
Yeah, shipping on these things is terrible. They weigh a ton. Yeah, I started teletype in high school more than 50 years ago with the Model 15, and I've been back on it for about 2 years here.
Okay, great, fantastic. Yeah, I know to most it's just antiquated technology, but I tell you, there's just something about hearing the teletype when it starts up that just gets the adrenaline flowing.
I agree.
Okay, thank you for the comeback. Much appreciate. Back to net control.
Yeah, just the electromechanical operations of these is just such a cool thing that you never really see anymore nowadays. I mean, this is something like an exploded watch. It looks like just a million little pieces and parts, and it's really really cool stuff. Definitely not seen too much anymore nowadays.
Yeah, I tell you, it's really great to have one. The Navy there, the communications station there in Agana, did a complete rebuild of my my teletype. I had it at my main operating position there in the Naval Air Station, And when I got my orders to come home, they asked me which unit I cared to take home. And I thought they were kidding. And I just pointed to the unit beside my operating position. They came in and hauled it down to the repair station, completely rebuilt it, wiring and everything, and then packaged it up and shipped it home. About a week after I got back home from the service, they arrived with my teletype station. So pretty slick. I prize it highly. Back to net control.
All right, perfect.
Daron, it's 1848. I'm going to step away, and I'll be back at just before 1900
Perfect.
when Jerry will start the program.
Sounds good. Yeah, we have about 12 minutes here. Feel free to take a break. We'll probably just go up until the last couple of minutes. So if anybody has any other comments, questions, anything else you'd like to bring up. I was just looking at a photo here of W6IWI, his shack, it looks like here, on his website, w6iwi.org. So slick looking teletype here. So really cool. All right, anyone else? Any other comments, questions, anything else you'd like to bring up for the for this Elmers session? Let us know.
Comment on a couple of things I've added to that site
Yeah.
recently is I've added a graph of the maximum usable frequency. And it's interesting to watch how that varies by the hour. And then also you can see on there, I've got a listing of reverse beacon network sightings of my station. So the intersection of ham radio and the internet is really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very cool. I just put that in the chat there if anybody wanted to look at that. So yeah, good site here, good compilation.
This is Linda.
Yeah,
Oh.
go ahead, please.
I just wanted, I hate to interrupt, but I just wanted to say I have been in contact with Lanier, and she's a dear, wonderful person. And she's been very helpful to me. And right now I feel just very overwhelmed, especially watching all this, but excited to think of the possibilities of what I could learn, you know. So thank you very much.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Lanier is a wonderful person and really good to work with and really helpful. So yeah, perfect.
Okay, great feedback. We're glad to hear that you hooked up with her.
Perfect. Yeah. Don't ever hesitate to reach out to anyone. I mean, a lot of this stuff is geeky, very, very high level stuff. But I am not an engineer at all. You know, I kind of just talk and just kind of keep a conversation going. A lot of us are just trying to just keep our head above water with some of this stuff. So yeah, don't ever feel like anybody's much different. You know. All right. Anyone else? Any other comments, questions you'd like to bring up for the Elmer session here? Let's see. SSTV events. Good question there. KF0CUC is asking about the slow scan television. The club, not much really. Nobody transmits it, but on the ISS does a lot of slow scan events. And I know if you look on the ARRL website, they often mention when that occurs. Let me see if I can find the latest one here.
Actually, Doran, this is Andrew. You did mention that, and that's why it kind of raised the question. I did receive about 3 seconds of SSTV from the space station, and it was so cool. Not enough to get an image, but I recognized the sound based on recording off of YouTube videos. So thank you for mentioning that. I was just curious if anybody transmitted over the local repeaters. It's like, yeah, sign me up. I'll put the radio up next to it, or the phone up next to it, and get the image.
Perfect. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, there was a comment in there.
Yeah, that does remind me. I went to a ham fest down in Colorado Springs, and somebody was showing a digital slow scan television that you could run on HF. And it was both image and sound digital on HF, which was pretty amazing. I'm used to, the old robot slow scan with long persistence phosphors and so on.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, so slow scan television, for those not in the know, it's just transmitting images over just regular analog, just bands, and the ISS has done a lot of it from from their station, and you can often kind of just use a handheld radio in your like a cell phone to convert just this audio into to pictures, and it's been around for ages, I'd imagine.
And just to decode the acronym
Another-
for those that are not familiar, it's the International Space Station.
Yes, thank you.
Another comment is there's somebody auto-started my machine there. Anyway, Kiwi SDR has decoders for facts, and you can like look at weather facts and things like that on there, and it'll show on your computer. And then also there's Droid RTTY, an application for Android phones that will transmit and receive RTTY.
Good points there, absolutely. Our phones are quite powerful nowadays, and some of these protocols are quite old and are analog, and so they can easily be kind of decoded and viewed on just our cell phones. So yeah, good question there, or good points there.
Comment?
Yeah.
So I tried finding a good app last time I got the Android recommendation. I happened to have an iPhone, and I found the s.t.e.m app, which you have to pay a few bucks for. Actually worked really well. So now I'm just on a hunt to find something I can actually get through the radio to make an image. So maybe I'll just end up using Simplex with someone to try that, but we'll see.
Gotcha.
Back to net.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. All right, yeah, and all these things, if you can connect a radio to your computer, there's a lot of free applications out there, Linux and Windows based, that you can do a lot of different communication methods. Yeah, very neat. All right, just a few more minutes here. Anyone else have any comments, questions, anything else you've spoken about so far you'd like to bring up? Let us know.
Jerome, I just got back. I don't know if you saw that comment about is Brandmeister the dominant DMR network to use? What about TGIF network? I've never heard of TGIF, if you know what that is.
Yeah, I kind of glossed over it a little bit, really didn't explain what that was. It is an alternative to DMR Brandmeister, and it has some different feature sets. I think there's like, you can sit on the same channel and it'll auto roam, it'll auto move to something else. There's, but we looked at that. There's TGIF.network. I think I don't know the history about it, but we had looked at the last heard, and we'd seen the hotspots was a much lower count than DMR. Yeah, I'll have to find the history of the TGF. I know there was some weird, some funniness with it. All right, just a couple more minutes here. Anyone else? Anything else you'd like to bring up?
Just something strange with Chrome here. I'm not seeing your video or getting your sound. I can see closed captions. So tried connecting a couple of times, so I'm using telephone audio.
Oh, okay. Huh. I'll have to try connecting in Chrome and make sure that it works. But anyone else have any other?
Seems like it should, since it's a Google product.
Exactly.
Now the captions is a function you turn off and on down at the bottom of your screen. If you scroll down,
Yeah,
you'll see.
I got that.
And as far as audio goes, you need to go into settings and make sure you've selected your microphone and speakers for your particular configuration.
Yeah, and it does work for Zoom and GoToMeeting and all of that. Not sure what's happened here.
Sometimes you have
Microsoft Teams.
Sometimes you have to
Microsoft
exit
Teams
Chrome
don't work
because
either.
sometimes you have to exit Chrome and come back in because Teams or Zoom will capture it. So you've got to exit Chrome and
I'll
come
try
back
that.
in.
Good point. I'll try that. Thank you.
Okay. More info on our club, W0TX.org. I'm sure you probably have found that already, but if not, yeah, more info on us there. Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m., except for the third Wednesday, we have a Learning Net. More info on the site here. We have a groups.io page, and we're posting content to our a YouTube page, so you can find past streams and past things on there as well. Yeah, I don't have too much more. If anybody has any other comments, questions, anything, let us know. But we'll probably get started with the with our meeting here in a couple minutes. Oh, I guess there was very quickly here the like I guess I could just talk about Dayton Hamvention 2021 has been canceled. Not too much of a surprise. Hopefully, 2022 will be we'll have some more Hamfests. So, that was not what I wanted to hear.
I did make it back there last year for the very first time, and in fact, that's where I got this teletype from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have never trekked, never been. So hopefully, hopefully soon we'll be able to safely meet together.
Comment about amateur TV in the area?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Chris AE5IT. There's an amateur TV club in Boulder, KH6HTV. That they have events and schedules up on their website. KH6HTV.
Is that FastCam?
I wouldn't know. Not an expert on this.
Yeah, I think they use VHF for UHF, and so does FastScan.
Yeah, good point on that. Yeah, we had spoken about Boulder Amateur Radio Club in the past, and yeah, they do have some amateur radio TV they've used in the past to monitor CU Boulder games, and I'm sure they make use of it with Aries and whatnot nowadays as well. So yeah, good information there.
And they use European HD format.
DVB-T, that's right. Okay, instead of like the HD TV. Okay, all right, and ATSC. Yeah. Okay. Well, it is 7:01 now. I will hand things off to Jerry. Again, thank you all for being here. My name is Drone K1DVC, and hope to hear and see you all soon.
Okay, Drone. Well, thank you very much, you guys, for doing that.